Hello. Marietta back with another video. Y'all know this morning I want to talk to y'all about why homeless people sometimes don't return back to their family. I know I be talking to people when I'm out there in the streets, and coming from homelessness myself, I've been down that road. And sometimes we get a very misunderstanding about why people are homeless, why people choose to stay home as opposed to going home to their families, and what that really looks like for the person that's actually going through it, and the family that may feel as though that they may be talked about being mocked because they have family members that are out on the street. You know, a lot of times people get the whole misconception wrong, that the whole stigma is that homeless people that are out on the street, they're mentally ill, they are confrontational, they're broken, they're lazy, they don't want to work, this, that, and other thing. That may be some for true, but that is not for some, but that may not be true for everybody that's out there on the street. You got some people out there on the street now that are none of that. They were put out there on the street by no fault of their own due to what's going on in the world today, the inflation, the high cost of rent, the jobs being lost. There's a lot of reasons why people are homeless out there on the streets right now. Right now, they're out there, and that stigma of them being mentally ill, or them being alcoholics, or them being just whoremongers, or them just being bad people that nobody can deal with is not true whatsoever. Even through my homeless stage, I was none of that. I was coming out of a bad marriage. At that time, it was safer for me to be on the street. It was safe for me to be on the street out by myself, to move around by myself, because I knew then that I felt more protected. And it's a shame to say so, but sometimes you feel more protected on the street than you do being with so-called family. And I'm not talking about my immediate family. I'm talking about being with a husband, being with a wife, and sometimes family too. Sometimes your regular family can put you in a place where you don't feel safe. So sometimes you end up on the street. You got people that do this all day long. You got grown women that are in the midst of domestic violence situations, and they run away from home. Men leave home and they feel safer because, I mean, if you were being bullied, or if you were being talked down to, and you being mistreated, and things are happening in the house that you have already spoke about, and you've told people that you don't like that, and it continues. A lot of reasons why people go homeless. Some people can't stand the fact of just being able to cope with bills being piling up, the mental stress of it all. Some people are going homeless right now due to the fact that they cannot put up with the fact that the bills are way too high, the mental stress of it all, not being able to cope, not watching their lives crumble before their eyes. There's a lot of reasons why people end up homeless and do not return to their family, because sometimes family has a tendency of not being sensitive to what you're going through, and they want to tell you, I told you so, or they want to talk down to you, or they feel as though that because they got you in a vulnerable situation that they can treat you any kind of way just because you need them for that time being. And then on the other hand, the person that has opened their door to let you in may feel as though that you may not want to leave, may feel as though that you may not want to get the help that you need if you are, say, an alcoholic or a drug addict, or you maybe come in and you may create too much problem for them when they still have a life to live, and they have other family members that are staying there, and they don't want you coming into their home, making their home all uncomfortable. Because 9 times out of 10, you got some people that are homeless right now that refuse to go into a building because they want to do their own thing. They want to be on their own. They want to spend their money the way they want to spend it. They don't want nobody telling them how to live and whatnot. But the fact of the matter is, it has become so hard for you to be homeless now because the tent cities, they're tearing them down if they've not torn them down already. I remember hearing something, correct me if I'm wrong. Y'all type it in the comments. Let's don't tussle. Let's conversate. I heard them mention in the last year about the tent cities being torn down because it was against the law to be homeless and be sleeping in a tent on the street. You had to go to a place where that tent was legal for it to be, such as a park, or RV park, or a camping ground, or things of that nature. You actually can camp in a tent in those places, but you cannot pop a tent in the middle of your city on the street, in the park, right in people's face, and the Walmart parking lot. You can't park tents like that anymore. From my understanding, it's against the law, and you will be arrested, or you will be asked to leave to go to, they'll try to get you shelter, and if and so you choose not to take that shelter, you could possibly be arrested. So y'all type that in the comments if you've heard anything about that. And I'm sure we all have heard something about that because of the fact that it's all over the place now. And I even understand that the only place that they're having a whole lot of the biggest problem of homelessness is out in California. So there is a lot of homelessness going on there, but they're still popping tents everywhere. But as we can see here in the U.S., they're trying to clean that up right now. So when it comes down to the homeless people being out there on the street and not want to go to family, sometimes your family can be more toxic than it would be being out there on the street. Sometimes you're safer to take your chances on the street than it is to be with family, and vice versa. Because I think about it like this: if and so a homeless person moves into their family and they do have mental illness, that is too much for you to deal with. You may not be qualified to operate in that space. It's better for you to allow them to go get the help that they need. You already know that they're on drugs. You already know that they're going through. You already know that you can't tolerate that type of thing. You already know they're going to run in and out of your house, possibly steal from you. Not meaning to, it's just the fact that that's where they at mentally. When you know that's what you're getting, what it is what it is. You already know that they're addicts. You already know that they steal. You already know that they're confrontational. You already know they're going to get drunk. You already know you're going to go through hell with them. So therefore, if you're not ready to tussle and you're not ready to go through that, walk down that road with them, it's best for you to leave that homeless person out there and try to get them some help from the outside. If you know you physically cannot go through what you may have to go through, because you may physically have to tussle with them. I've seen it happen where family taking homeless people, family members, or just regular homeless people that were homeless, and they come in and treat your house just like they would the street. Open things, leave paper on the floor, act like they need a maid, throw stuff all around, tear the room all up, because they're not ready to be in an unsupervised setting. They need to be supervised, because in their mental they're going through, in their mind they're going through. We don't know what they came out of completely or wholeheartedly, so you really truly got to be careful, whether it's man or woman, how you bring these homeless people into your house, even if they're family. And be careful, family, when you bring them in, make sure you understand exactly who you're bringing in. Homeless people, some of them, like I said, are in their right mind, got good sense. I wasn't a drug addict. I wasn't out there going crazy. I wasn't doing none of that. I was just leaving a bad marriage, and I still had all my senses, and I had the Spirit of the Lord walking with me, so I knew I would be fine. But I was one of the ones that understood that work meant everything. You have to find work. A lot of them don't want to find work because of the embarrassment of it all, or because of the fact that they don't have an address to return back to out there. And a lot of times they don't want people talking to them about their situation, because when you don't have a stable place to work, a stable address, you don't have no stability in your life, it's hard for you to stay on the job. It's hard for you to clock in, and you up all night long because the streets are busy, or you got to watch your back all night long, so you're not getting the proper rest that you normally would get if you had shelter over your head. And a lot of times people would say, well, why that homeless person don't go to the shelter? They don't go to the shelter because sometimes you're better off on the street than you are in the shelter as well. The same things that happen in the shelter happens on them streets. I'm trying to tell y'all. You go to the shelter, you might wake up, somebody stole your stuff, somebody might try to violate you, they're gonna put you out anyway at 6 o'clock in the morning. Why? Because the shelter is a business. The shelter's not in business to keep you off the street. They're in the business to make sure that you return yourself back to that street so that you can come and go. Because 9 times out of 10, you go through a lot when you go to the shelter as well. It's a long, drawn out process of trying to get you reformed from homelessness back up on your feet. But the key part of it is, it's got to start with you. You got to have that willingness. You got to have that effort. You got to put in that work. Being homeless, why do not homeless, the question is, why is it that family don't take in their homeless? Why does the family don't take in their homeless people? Why don't homeless people return back to their families? You can ask it a million ways, but it all remains the same. That when you're homeless and you're out there, and a lot of times you look at it like the church, they'll say, run to the church, run to the church. The church will take you out, your family will finish you off. Let's just say it like that. Your best bet is to get on out there, and you'll probably meet people that will actually help you, would probably be strangers. Trust and believe. The people that helped me get back on my feet were strangers. You'll meet some strangers along the way that will have your back. You'll meet some strangers along the way that don't know nothing about, ain't religious at all, ain't going to no church, but yet they got your back. They understand what you're going through. They understand where you're at. They speak so highly of you. They don't treat you like dirt. They don't look down on you. And so therefore, a lot of times they build a community out there in them streets with people that can relate. And that's the thing. They'll find your tribe. If you stay homeless out there long enough, you'll find your tribe, and you'll find that there's a lot of folks out there that are just like you. Those that are not mentally ill, those that are not drug addicts, those that are just coming out of bad relationships, that choose to save themselves. And it was better for them to come up out of that building, out of that house, before they lose themselves, is to come out in the street and just figure it out from there and go to work from there and find out how they're going to make it from there. And they realized then that it was better for them to move on like that. So going inside the house with family, sometimes, like I said, it could cause you more trauma than good, especially if you already know you're a chosen one and you know the house that you may have to go into, there's no spirituality in it, there's no God in it, there's nobody's praying, nobody's nothing, they're not in position, because I don't care where you at in life, your position is the praying position. And when you begin to pray and you begin to call in the name of Jesus and you begin to let God work in your life and allow him to move in your behalf and ask God to order your steps. Even in your homelessness, you still need to walk them streets and you need to speak to the Lord most of the day. Most of my day was met with prayer. I would walk and I would pray. And they always called me as I was out there walking. They would say, that's that praying lady, because I knew I needed to pray in order for me to be covered out there and for me not to look like what I've been going through. And that's the thing. You don't have to look like what you've been going through. I remember a lot of times the Lord would tell me to wash my face. Even though I was crying, even though I was walking, I still had to keep moving. You got to keep moving and you got to keep working on you. You got to be your best cheerleader when you're out there in these situations, but you got to know who you are and you got to know who God is. I knew I could rebuild and I knew I would recover because God told me I would. Not because of me, but because God spoke that into my spirit to leave everything and just follow me. Just leave it all and follow me. I walked away from the house, the car, dropped the key on the counter and just left. Just left because I knew God had my back. I was not going to sit there and be beaten and battered and bruised and go through a whole lot of unnecessary stuff that was not my portion. That was not my portion. So I was not going to take on. And beloved, it is not your portion either. You got to understand who you are in this. So being homeless, returning back to family, if it's an option, that's a wonderful thing. If you think that you can go back with family, y'all can work together and y'all can make it, then do so. But if you're homeless out there and you feel as though that you going back to family is going to cause you more trauma, cause you more turmoil in your life. You're going to feel disrespected. They're going to look down on you. They don't understand your story. They don't understand that people go through things and you got to hear it thrown on your face every day. I understand why you feel as though it would be better for you to put one foot in front of the other and continue to keep working to try to build your own life, your own way, and see if you can meet some like-minded people that would actually understand that you can get up and work with and you can help. But when you start talking about the mental illness side of people that are out there homeless, that are not trying to get up and go to work because of their mental illness that may have overtaken them, or because they may be lazy, or they maybe just don't want to be bothered with it, those you got to leave them be. Because like I said, you can't force nobody to do better. They got to want to do better. That's the thing. They got to want to get up. It don't matter how low you fall. It's just a matter of you willing to try to pull yourself back up, because we all fall short and we all fall short of the glory of the Lord. But yet and still, you got to understand that we go through some things. We're supposed to go through some things. I really believe that everything that God took me through, it was for a reason, for such a time as this. So we'll be able to be on these lines to be an encouragement to somebody who may be going through, somebody who's out there with no fault of their own, somebody who's out there that's not did nothing to put themselves in this situation. Because there's a lot of people that are homeless right now that they did nothing to cause this for themselves. It's just the fact that the inflation, the tariffs, the high cost of living has put people in a very bad situation right now. And I want y'all to know, if nobody's told you, I'm praying for you each and every day, because prayer is the position. That's the position that we have to take. So with that being said, y'all know where I'm headed this morning. I'm going to leave that right there. So I'm on my way out this door this morning. It's very early. It's like 6:30. So I got to make some moves early this morning, but I did not want to walk out the door without letting y'all know that I love you, that I'm thinking of you. And for everyone that is out there on the sound of my voice, if and so you are homeless and you're listening at me from anywhere, just know that I am praying and I am praying and I am praying. I am praying that God will send someone to help you along the way, that you will meet your tribe and you will meet some good people that will help pull you up and help get you out of the situation. And if and so you're just looking for somebody to bring you out of the rain and you're ready, willing, and able to be a team player in somebody else's house, then I pray that God will send that person to you also. And if and so you're not, and you're going through and you're dealing with mental illness and you're dealing with sickness and you're dealing with struggling with drug addiction, just know that God is able. Just know that God is able. He's able to do all things but fail. All you got to do is give that thing to God. Ask God to help you and heal you from these situations. But first, you got to give your life to Christ. You got to surrender yourself. And all you got to do is ask him to come into your heart, and in your house you shall be saved. Just ask him to come and sit with you. That's all. And I just want to say from there, let me see, I don't want to miss nothing. Yeah, we're looking good, y'all, as far as our numbers are going up. The channel is moving. I thank God for each and every one of you subs that just came in. Thank God for every one of you and all the ones that's been here. I thank God for each and every one of you, but we're on a journey for 20K. We're trying to get these numbers up so we can get in the algorithm good, y'all. And if so, you have not turned your notification bells on, please turn your notification bells on so you will be notified when I drop my next video. Y'all be blessed and keep me in prayer as well.